Alex sat cross-legged on the temple floor, the afternoon light casting long shadows in the courtyard. The Zen master, an older figure of quiet strength, stood before them. "You have been following the wrong path, Alex," the Zen master said, his voice calm but firm. Alex felt the words pierce through them like a cold wind, cutting through the layers of belief they had so carefully built over the years. "Your journey is not what you think it is," the Zen master continued. Alex's chest tightened as a cold realization began to settle in. For years, they had sought peace, enlightenment, and understanding. Yet each step forward had felt more like a step into an abyss of uncertainty. Their path seemed to unravel with each word the master spoke. The world they had once believed in now appeared fragile, slipping through their fingers like sand. "What do you mean?" Alex whispered, barely able to find their voice. The master did not answer directly but only gazed at them, his eyes filled with compassion and knowing. "You must let go," the Zen master said softly, "if you are ever to understand." These words shook Alex to the core, as the very foundation of their existence seemed to tremble. Alex sat alone in their room, still processing the Zen master's words. What does it mean to be lost, truly lost? They wondered aloud. The room felt empty, yet their mind was full of questions. They had spent years following this path, believing it would lead to something greater, something beyond the material world. But now, with the master's words echoing in their mind, nothing seemed certain. The teachings that had once offered comfort now felt distant. "Can I even find the path I thought I knew?" Alex thought. Their hands clenched and unclenched as they tried to focus. The stillness of the room became oppressive, amplifying the silence of their doubts. Outside, the wind rustled through the trees, but inside, Alex felt like they were caught in an endless storm. Their heart raced as the realization began to settle in. They were not just lost in the world, but in their very sense of self. The next day, Alex met Liam, 30, a fellow disciple in the courtyard. Liam, with his sharp features and skeptical demeanor, looked at Alex with a dismissive smile. "You still believe in this?" he asked, motioning to the temple and the teachings that Alex had embraced. "It's all just illusions, a game of the mind. You'll never find peace like this." Alex, shaken by the Zen master's words, found themselves struggling to defend their beliefs. Liam's words echoed in their mind, causing a flood of doubts. The pursuit of enlightenment, once a source of comfort, now felt like a futile exercise. "Maybe you're right," Alex muttered, not sure if they were talking to Liam or themselves. The skepticism in Liam's voice gnawed at them, pushing them further into the darkness of uncertainty. As Alex wandered the temple grounds, a figure appeared from the mist. Tan old man, face hidden beneath a hood. He approached Alex silently and spoke in a cryptic voice. "The path you walk is a mirror. If you seek the truth outside, it will only reflect your desires." Alex stood frozen, uncertain whether the man was real or a product of their weary mind. "What do you mean?" they asked. The old man only smiled, his eyes glinting with some hidden understanding. "To seek without knowing is like trying to catch the wind. You must let go of your grasp to find what you seek." The figure faded into the mist as quickly as he had appeared, leaving Alex with more questions than answers. In that fleeting moment, Alex felt both shaken and strangely enlightened. The words seemed to resonate with something deep within them, stirring a sense of awakening, however faint. Alex, now overwhelmed by their inner turmoil, paced restlessly in their room. "I've tried everything," they whispered, their voice barely audible. "I've meditated, I've searched, but I still feel empty inside." The walls of the room seemed to close in on them, and their chest tightened. The Zen master's words and Liam's mockery swirled together in a cyclone of doubt and frustration. "What's the point of all this?" Alex cried out in frustration. In that moment, all the teachings, all the practices felt meaningless. They had given everything, yet nothing had changed. The anger and confusion boiled over, and Alex collapsed to the ground, defeated. The weight of their own failure, their inability to find peace, crushed them. But as they lay there, breathless and exhausted, something shifted within. Perhaps it was in the surrender, the giving up of control, that the first glimmer of understanding began to emerge. Alex stood before the Zen master, feeling a new sense of anxiety rising within them. "You must meditate on the word, let go," the Zen master instructed. "When you can truly let go, you will understand." The task seemed simple enough, yet Alex knew it wasn't. They had spent so many years holding on, clinging to beliefs and expectations that now felt like a cage. As Alex sat in the temple's quiet meditation hall, the stillness around them only intensified the noise inside their head. "Let go," they repeated, but every thought felt like an anchor, dragging them back to the surface. With each breath, Alex became more aware of their resistance. The weight of their desires, fears, and doubts made letting go feel impossible. "Why can't I just do it?" Alex wondered aloud, their frustration mounting. The words echoed in the hall, but there was no answer, only the silence pressing down on them like a heavy blanket. As hours passed, Alex's thoughts became a torrent. Every attempt to quiet their mind only seemed to amplify the noise. "Let go," they whispered again, but now it felt like a command, a desperate plea for something they couldn't grasp. Images of their past, their fears, and unfulfilled desires flooded their consciousness. The more Alex tried to release them, the more tightly they seemed to hold on. With every passing moment, they felt more disconnected from the peaceful state they sought. The simple task of letting go felt like an impossible mountain to climb. "Why is it so hard?" Alex thought, their chest tightening with each failed attempt. The Zen master's instructions felt distant now, as though lost in the vastness of their own mind. Yet, despite their struggle, Alex didn't stop. Something deep within them, though faint, urged them to continue. Alex's thoughts spiraled further, each breath heavy with frustration. "I can't do this," they thought. "I don't know how to let go." Every thought that came to mind felt like an obstacle, a challenge they couldn't overcome. The Zen master's words echoed in their mind, but they were no longer a source of guidance. Instead, they felt like cruel reminders of their inability to succeed. "I'm not good enough," Alex admitted, their self-doubt creeping in. The room felt smaller now, the walls pressing in on them as their frustration mounted. A cold sweat began to form on their brow, and the stillness of the room seemed almost mocking. They could hear their heart pounding in their chest, each beat a reminder of their failure. It felt like the weight of the world was pressing down on them. Yet, despite everything, they remained there, still trying, unwilling to give up just yet. Alex finally couldn't hold it in any longer. The pressure of trying to let go without understanding how had overwhelmed them. "I'm failing," they whispered to themselves, their voice breaking under the weight of their emotions. The tears came suddenly, as if the dam inside them had cracked. They had tried for so long to fit into the Zen teachings, to be perfect, to control their mind. But now, all of that felt irrelevant. The tears fell freely as Alex allowed themselves to release the built-up tension. For the first time in hours, they no longer felt the pressure to succeed. They let the tears come, feeling them wash away the facade of control they had held onto for so long. "Maybe this is the letting go," Alex thought through their tears. In that moment, they felt a slight shift, a crack in the walls they had built around themselves. It wasn't peace, not yet, but it was something. And for the first time, it felt like they might be moving in the right direction. After what felt like an eternity, Alex took a deep breath. The tears subsided, and a strange calmness washed over them. "I don't have to be perfect," they thought, their chest rising and falling with each slow, deliberate breath. The weight they had been carrying felt lighter now. It was as if the burden of expectation had dissolved, leaving behind only the rawness of their being. "Let go," Alex repeated, but this time it didn't feel like an impossible command. It felt like an invitation. Slowly, Alex began to understand that letting go wasn't about control or perfection. It was about accepting what was already there, the imperfections, the doubts, the vulnerability. For the first time in their journey, Alex felt like they could truly begin. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the temple courtyard as Alex met Liam, the fellow disciple. Liam stood leaning against a stone pillar, a smirk on his face. You really think all this meditating and quieting the mind is going to lead to something? Liam's voice was tinged with disbelief. You've been here how long now? And all you have is frustration and more questions. Alex stood across from him, feeling the sting of the words. You're wasting your time, Liam continued, pushing himself off the pillar. The world doesn't care about your peace. It doesn't stop moving for your enlightenment. Alex clenched their fists, anger rising. I'm not doing this for the world, they retorted, their voice tight. I'm doing this for myself. But even as the words left their mouth, doubt crept in. Was it really just for themselves, or was it the need for external validation, for approval, that drove them? Liam caught the uncertainty in Alex's expression, a glint of satisfaction in his eyes. It's all an illusion, he said coldly. The peace you seek doesn't exist outside of your mind. The world won't give it to you, and neither will anyone here. Alex stood frozen, the weight of Liam's words sinking in. They had always been told that peace was within their reach, but what if it was just another illusion? The words echoed in Alex's mind long after Liam had walked away. The peace you seek doesn't exist outside your mind. What if Liam was right? What if all this striving for enlightenment, for inner peace, was just a futile chase after something that didn't exist? Alex paced back and forth in their small room, the walls now feeling like a cage. What if I'm just fooling myself? They muttered. Their heart raced with the uncertainty that Liam's words had sparked. They had always believed in the Zen teachings, believed that there was something deeper, something more meaningful to discover within themselves. But now, the weight of self-doubt felt unbearable. What if they weren't cut out for this? What if they weren't capable of finding peace? Maybe I've been wrong all along, Alex thought, sinking to the floor. The sense of losing their way, of not being able to find the answers, overwhelmed them. They closed their eyes, hoping for some clarity, but the silence was deafening. The following day, Alex returned to the meditation hall, determined to push through their doubts. As they sat on the floor, they tried to clear their mind, focusing on the breath, trying to ignore the storm of thoughts swirling in their head. Just let go, they repeated to themselves. But each breath felt shallow, each thought a weight that held them in place. The teachings they had once felt so connected to now seemed distant, like a foreign language they couldn't understand. What's the point of all this? Alex thought, frustration mounting. The room around them was still, the only sound being the soft rustling of leaves outside. The silence felt suffocating, the stillness of the room making their thoughts all the more amplified. I don't know how much longer I can do this, Alex thought, as the uncertainty gnawed at their resolve. They tried to focus on the task at hand, but it felt like trying to hold water in their hands. It slipped away no matter how hard they tried to grasp it. Just as Alex was about to give up, something shifted. A moment of stillness, a quiet pause in the constant whirlwind of thoughts. What if I just accepted things as they are? The question hung in the air like a gentle breeze. For the first time in days, Alex stopped trying to control their thoughts, stopped trying to force an answer. Instead of fighting the doubts, they simply acknowledged them. They didn't need to push them away or pretend they weren't there. In that instant, a quiet calm washed over Alex, as if the weight they had been carrying had been lifted. The realization was simple, yet profound. Peace wasn't about eliminating the noise, but about accepting it without resistance. The journey wasn't about perfecting themselves, but about embracing the imperfections. Alex opened their eyes slowly, feeling a subtle shift within them. They took a deep breath, no longer trying to control it, but simply letting it be. Later, Liam approached Alex once more, his usual air of superiority evident. So did you find what you were looking for? He asked, a half smile on his face. Alex stood tall, no longer feeling the weight of Liam's words. Yes, Alex replied, their voice calm but firm. It wasn't what I expected, but I found something. It wasn't about fighting the doubts, it was about letting them be. Liam raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. And that's all? He asked, his voice dripping with disbelief. Alex smiled slightly, no longer feeling the need to justify themselves. Yes, that's all, they said. The truth wasn't in defeating the skepticism, but in understanding that the doubts were part of the journey. As Liam walked away, Alex stood there feeling a quiet sense of peace. They didn't need to convince Liam or anyone else. They had found their own way. Alex had been wandering the temple grounds in the early morning mist when they saw him. An old man, cloaked in a tattered robe, appeared as if from nowhere. His presence was like a shadow, blending with the fog that clung to the earth. He spoke without preamble, his voice soft yet commanding. "The path you walk is a mirror. If you seek the truth outside, it will only reflect your desires." Alex froze, unsure if the figure was real or a figment of their imagination. "What do you mean?" they asked, unable to conceal the curiosity in their voice. The man smiled faintly, his wrinkled eyes gleaming with an almost otherworldly wisdom. "To seek without knowing is like trying to catch the wind," he continued. "You must let go of your grasp to find what you seek." Before Alex could respond, the man turned and began to walk away, his movements fluid, disappearing into the mist as quickly as he had appeared. Alex stood there, stunned, their mind racing. The words resonated deeply within them, though their meaning remained elusive. As they walked back toward the temple, the fog seemed less thick, the path ahead slightly clearer, but the enigma of the stranger lingered in their thoughts. Had he given them a glimpse of something deeper, or had they simply imagined it all? Alex walked back to their room, the words of the stranger echoing in their mind. "The path you walk is a mirror. If you seek the truth outside, it will only reflect your desires." What did it mean? They had spent so long looking outward, looking for answers in the teachings, in the people around them, in the world itself. The idea that the truth was already within them seemed both liberating and terrifying. "I've always thought I had to find something outside of myself," Alex thought, sitting down on their cushion. The simple words of the stranger started to take root, growing in Alex's mind like a seed planted in fertile soil. But as they sat in silence, they realized that letting go, as the man had said, wasn't about abandoning everything they had learned. It was about releasing the attachment to it. The realization brought a wave of discomfort. Letting go meant surrendering the very search they had been on. It meant confronting the truth that perhaps the path was not about finding something new, but about shedding the layers of belief that had built up over time. Alex let out a sigh, their chest tightening as the weight of this new understanding sank in. The search wasn't over, it was just beginning, yet it was not a search for answers, but a release of questions. The next day, as Alex wandered the temple grounds, they felt the weight of the stranger's words shift in their heart. It was as if the veil had lifted slightly, and the world around them seemed more alive, more tangible. The rustling of the leaves in the wind, the distant chirping of birds, even the stone pathway beneath their feet, all of it felt more meaningful. "The path you walk is a mirror," Alex whispered to themselves. "But what does that mean for me?" They gazed at the temple building ahead, its stone structure standing tall against the backdrop of the foggy morning. The stranger's message was still unclear, but the words had opened something inside them. It wasn't just about meditation or seeking answers in external teachings. It was about aligning with the present, seeing themselves in everything around them. As they walked deeper into the garden, the peace that had been absent before began to settle within them, almost like a quiet recognition of something they had always known. They stopped and stood still for a moment, allowing themselves to simply be, the mist swirling around them, blending into their thoughts. Perhaps this was the beginning of the true path, not one of rigid discipline, but of fluid acceptance and surrender to the present moment. As the days passed, Alex found themselves returning to the same quiet spaces in the temple. Spaces that once felt like silent prisons now felt like sanctuaries. The teachings, once so heavy, began to feel lighter, more like whispers than demands. "Maybe peace isn't something I have to work for," Alex thought one evening as they sat by the small pond in the temple's courtyard. Wow. Maybe it's something I've been holding on to, without even realizing it." The idea of letting go became less intimidating. It wasn't about abandoning everything they had learned, but about releasing the attachment to achieving something. Peace was already there, in every breath, in the simplicity of the present moment. For the first time, Alex understood that enlightenment wasn't a destination. It was the moment itself. And all they had to do was accept it. With that realization, Alex sat by the pond, watching the water ripple in the wind, feeling the world around them slow to a gentle rhythm. The stranger appeared again, just as quietly as before, walking from the mist into the clearing where Alex sat by the pond. "You seem to have found something," the old man said, his eyes glinting with recognition. Alex looked up, their expression calm. "I think I'm starting to understand," they replied, their voice steady. The stranger nodded slightly, as if pleased by the realization. "The truth was never hidden," he said softly. "It was only waiting for you to stop searching." And with that, the man turned and walked away, his figure dissolving into the mist as suddenly as he had arrived. Alex remained still, the words settling deeply within them. They had been searching for something outside, but now they realized that the truth had always been within them. The stranger had been right, and in that brief moment, Alex knew their journey had only just begun. The tension had been building for days. Alex sat alone in their room, staring blankly at the floor. The Zen master's words, the doubts seeded by Liam, and the fleeting wisdom from the stranger swirled in their mind, but none of it made sense anymore. "What am I doing?" they whispered, their voice trembling. For weeks, Alex had devoted themselves to finding peace, but now, it all felt meaningless. The constant struggle to quiet their mind, to find something they could not defy, was it even worth it? Every attempt felt like a failure. The meditation practices, once a source of refuge, now felt like empty rituals. Alex clenched their fists, frustration rising in their chest. "I've tried everything," they muttered. "I'm failing at everything." They had come to the temple seeking enlightenment, but all they had found was confusion. The pressure of expectations, both their own and others, pressed down on them like an unbearable weight. They had given everything, sacrificed so much, and yet they felt no closer to the peace they had been promised. In a moment of despair, Alex collapsed onto the floor, the cold stone beneath them grounding their chaos. The tears came without warning, a flood of emotion that felt like a release from a dam that had been holding back for too long. As they lay there, sobbing uncontrollably, something deep within them shifted. For the first time in their journey, Alex felt the weight of their expectations dissolve into the nothingness of the room. It wasn't peace they had been searching for. It was the ability to surrender, to let go of the illusion of control. Alex lay there, unable to move. The sobs racked their body, and the weight of their failure pressed heavily on their chest. It felt as if they had lost everything. The desire for peace, the quest for enlightenment, nothing seemed real anymore. "Why can't I just let go?" Alex thought. "Why is this so hard?" The room felt suffocating, the silence unbearable, as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for them to surrender. They had been taught that enlightenment was about stillness, but all Alex could feel was the whirlwind of their emotions. Fear, guilt, frustration. These were the things that had defined their journey, not peace. "I'm not good enough," they thought bitterly. "I'll never be good enough." And yet, as the tears continued to flow, Alex began to realize something unexpected. It wasn't the failure that defined them, it was the act of surrendering to it. They had been fighting against themselves, against their imperfections, against their fear. In that moment of emotional collapse, they saw the truth. There was no perfect way to be. There was only the acceptance of what is, the peace that comes not from achieving something, but from simply being with what is. As they lay there, still, their sobs began to subside. Slowly, they exhaled, the tightness in their chest easing. The weight of their expectations began to lift, and a quiet calm spread over them. It was not an answer, but a release, an invitation to stop trying, and to simply accept. As the minutes passed, the emotional storm inside Alex began to subside. They lay still, breathing deeply, the sobs now replaced by long, calming breaths. Slowly, the room around them came back into focus. The stone walls, the faint glow of the sunset, the stillness of the temple grounds outside. "This is it," Alex thought. This is what I've been searching for. The clarity was not in achieving peace, but in accepting the chaos, the imperfection, the messiness of being human. In that moment, they realized that they didn't need to find peace. They simply needed to stop running from the pain, the fear, the discomfort. The act of surrendering to it was the key. The weight that had been pressing down on Alex for so long began to lift, and a lightness washed over them. They sat up slowly, feeling the cool air of the room against their skin, grounding themselves in the present moment. For the first time, they felt a quiet peace, not because everything was perfect, but because they had let go of the need for it to be. Alex stood and walked to the window, the cool evening air brushing against their skin. Looking out at the temple grounds, they felt a sense of calm they had not known before. This is what it means to let go, Alex thought. To stop struggling against myself. They took a deep breath, the air fresh and crisp, filled with the scent of earth and distant rain. It wasn't just the environment around them that had changed, it was how they felt within it. For the first time, Alex realized that they had been holding on to an idea of peace that was unattainable. True peace wasn't a state of perfection or stillness. It was simply being present with whatever was. The tension in their body, the knot of expectation, unraveled, leaving only a quiet sense of acceptance. They didn't need to be perfect, to be without flaws, to be without doubt. Peace came when they stopped trying to control it, when they let go of the illusion of mastery and simply accepted the ebb and flow of life. As the evening settled in, Alex walked through the temple grounds, no longer burdened by the weight of their search. I've found what I needed, they thought, but it wasn't what I expected. The world around them seemed to hum with life. Each step, each breath, was a part of the whole. They no longer sought the world to provide answers or validation. The answers were always there, just waiting to be embraced. Alex stopped by the stone lantern, its soft light flickering in the darkness. For the first time they understood. There was nothing to achieve. There was only the journey, only the present moment. And in that moment, Alex felt complete. They smiled softly to themselves, the peace they had been seeking all along blooming quietly within them. Alex sat by the tranquil pond, reflecting on everything they had experienced. The pressure, the doubts, the struggles, they had all dissolved. I see now, Alex thought. True peace is not about perfection, it's about acceptance. They had spent years chasing something external, thinking peace was a destination to reach. But now, Alex understood it was within them all along. The quiet realization was profound. They no longer had to search. Alex took a deep breath, feeling the weight lift. The clarity that had eluded them was finally here. The stillness around Alex mirrored the quiet within them. The noise, the struggle, the endless searching, they were no longer part of their journey. I don't need to search anymore, Alex thought, watching the water flow calmly. It was a profound moment of surrender. Instead of forcing stillness, Alex embraced it. The weight of expectations, both from others and themselves, had fallen away. For the first time, they felt fully present in the moment, without the need to prove anything to anyone, not even themselves. Alex stood beneath an ancient tree, its branches stretching high into the sky. The world around them felt vibrant, full of life. This is peace, Alex realized, not in the absence of struggle, but in its acceptance. They had spent so long avoiding the uncomfortable, the messy, and now they saw that it was all part of the process. Every step, every challenge had led them here, to this moment of clarity. The peace they sought wasn't in achieving something, but in realizing they had always been whole. With each passing day, Alex found that the world around them was changing. They weren't seeking peace anymore, they were simply allowing it to be. I'm enough, Alex thought, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for their journey. They no longer needed to fix themselves. The imperfections, the struggles, they were all part of their story. Instead of resisting who they were, Alex embraced every part of themselves. The sense of peace wasn't a final destination, but a way of being. One afternoon, as Alex sat in meditation, a quiet revelation dawned on them. The peace they had been searching for was not something they had to attain. It was something they had always been. It's always been here, they realized, their heart opening in a moment of profound understanding. The illusion of separateness had dissolved. They were not seeking peace from the world. They were already whole. In that moment, Alex knew their journey was far from over, but they had found what they had been searching for all along. Alex walked through the temple grounds, feeling the soft breeze brush against their skin. I am not lost, they thought, a quiet smile on their lips. I am here. The world around them seemed different now, more vibrant, more alive. The search had ended, not because they had found something, but because they had let go of the need to find anything. Their journey wasn't a linear path. It was a circle. Every experience, every moment had brought them here to this moment of quiet acceptance. Alex stood by the edge of the temple's serene lake, gazing at the reflection of the mountains in the water. This is what peace feels like, they thought, feeling the tranquility of the moment seep into their soul. The external world was still chaotic, but Alex now understood that peace wasn't found in the absence of noise. It was found in the way they responded to it. They didn't need to fight the world. They simply needed to be with it. And in that quiet acceptance, peace had arrived. As Alex stood beneath the ancient tree in the temple garden, they realized that their journey had not been about reaching an endpoint. It had been about learning to be present. The lesson was always here, they thought. It wasn't about achieving perfection or understanding every detail of the universe. It was about embracing what was. The tree's steady roots mirrored Alex's newfound understanding. They didn't need to go anywhere or become anything. They were already complete. Alex sat silently by the temple steps, gazing out at the vast expanse of the landscape. I am not searching anymore, they thought. I am simply here. There was no longer a need for explanation or justification. Alex had come to understand that peace was not an ideal to be chased. It was a state of being. The sky stretched endlessly above, and in that vastness, Alex felt perfectly at home. The stillness of the moment was profound. There was nothing else to seek. The sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the temple grounds. Alex stood at the edge of the garden, their heart full. I am not lost, they whispered. I am home. The search was over, not because they had found an answer, but because they had come to realize that the question was never important. It had always been about the journey itself, the unfolding of life. With that realization, Alex felt a profound sense of gratitude. They were exactly where they needed to be,